It was a peaceful Sunday morning in Hawaii on December 7, 1941. The sun had just risen, casting a golden glow over Pearl Harbor. Imagine the scene. Sailors waking up slowly, some enjoying breakfast, others writing letters home, preparing for a quiet day. No one knew that within minutes this profound calm would be shattered forever. Suddenly, a distant hum of aircraft grew louder. Before anyone could truly react, explosions ripped through the air. Sirens wailed as Japanese planes descended upon the harbor like birds of prey. This was the moment that would drag a sleeping giant into the world's greatest conflict, a day President Franklin D. Roosevelt would forever brand.
A date which will live in infamy.
At the start of the 1940s, while the world was ablaze with war, the United States stood apart. As Germany conquered Europe and Japan carved a brutal path through Asia, America clung to a policy of neutrality. But beneath the surface, tensions were simmering. The U.S. had imposed severe economic sanctions on Japan for its invasions in China and Southeast Asia. To the Empire of Japan, America wasn't a neutral observer. It was the biggest obstacle standing in the way of its imperial ambitions. To clear that obstacle, Japanese military leaders planned a devastating, audacious surprise attack on the heart of the U.S. Pacific Fleet, stationed at Pearl Harbor. Early that morning, a glimmer of a warning appeared. Radar operators on the island of Oahu detected a massive wave of aircraft approaching. In a fatal misjudgment, the report was dismissed. The officers in charge believed it was just a group of American B-17 bombers scheduled to arrive from the mainland. Meanwhile, over 350 Japanese aircraft, fighters, bombers, and torpedo planes were flying silently toward their unsuspecting target. At exactly 7:48 a.m., the first wave struck. The sky screamed as dive bombers plunged, dropping their deadly cargo onto the heart of the U.S. naval fleet. The mighty USS Arizona took a direct hit from an armor-piercing bomb. The impact detonated its forward ammunition magazine, creating a cataclysmic fireball that tore the battleship in two. The Arizona sank in less than 9 minutes, entombing over 100 of its crew members in a fiery grave. Nearby, the USS Oklahoma was struck by a barrage of torpedoes. The massive battleship listed, then capsized completely, trapping hundreds of sailors inside its steel hull. Battleships, moored side by side in what was called Battleship Row, became easy targets. One after another they were bombarded. Smoke, thick and black, choked the sky, and the calm blue waters of Pearl Harbor turned into a nightmarish canvas of oil and flames. In the midst of this inferno, heroes emerged. Sailors, many of them just boys, rushed to their battle stations. Some scrambled to man anti-aircraft guns firing back at the relentless swarm of planes. Others, faces streaked with soot and oil, dove into the burning water, trying to escape the sinking ships and rescue their wounded comrades. For nearly 2 agonizing hours, chaos reigned supreme. The Japanese attacked in 2 devastating waves, hitting not just the ships but also the surrounding airfields and military installations, ensuring the American forces couldn't mount an effective counterattack. When the last Japanese plane disappeared over the horizon, an eerie silence fell over the harbor, broken only by the crackle of fires and the cries of the wounded. The scale of the devastation was immense. More than 2,400 Americans were dead. Nearly 1,200 were wounded. The pride of the Pacific Fleet was a smoldering wreck. 8 battleships were sunk or heavily damaged, along with 3 cruisers and nearly 200 aircraft that were destroyed on the ground before they ever had a chance to take off. Yet, in a critical twist of fate that would prove decisive for the war to come, the 3 American aircraft carriers of the Pacific Fleet were not in the harbor that day. They were out at sea on maneuvers, a stroke of luck that saved America's most vital naval assets. The nation was plunged into shock. Families across America huddled around their radios, listening in stunned silence. The following day, December 8th, President Franklin D. Roosevelt addressed a joint session of Congress and the nation. His voice, steady and resolute, delivered one of the most powerful speeches in American history. Yesterday, December 7, 1941, a date which will live in infamy, the United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. The response from Congress was swift and nearly unanimous. America declared war on Japan. A few days later, Japan's allies, Germany and Italy, declared war on the United States, and America was fully thrust into the Second World War. The attack on Pearl Harbor, intended by Japan to be a knockout blow that would cripple American resolve, had the exact opposite effect. It galvanized the American people with a unity and determination never seen before. The phrase, "Remember Pearl Harbor," became a national rallying cry. Factories that had been making cars and refrigerators shifted, seemingly overnight, to producing tanks, planes, and ships. Millions of men enlisted to fight, and women stepped up to fill critical roles in the workforce, becoming the backbone of the arsenal of democracy. What Japan had hoped would be a paralyzing strike instead awakened a sleeping giant and filled it with a terrible resolve. America would go on to fight grueling battles across the Pacific and Europe, playing a decisive role in the eventual Allied victory over the Axis powers. Today, Pearl Harbor is a place of solemn remembrance. The USS Arizona Memorial floats above the sunken battleship, which remains a silent, submerged tomb for the men who went down with their ship. It's a powerful reminder of the cost of war and the suddenness with which peace can be shattered. The attack on Pearl Harbor wasn't just a military strike. It was the spark that ignited America's entry into World War II, fundamentally altering the course of the war and shaping the world we live in today. It was the day America awoke, forever changing the tide of history. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you found this story powerful, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the moments that shaped our world. See you next time.